Hello, everyone. My name is Mauricio Kobian, and I am representing the UCLA International Education Office for Study Abroad, and I'll be leading today's Undeclared and Non-Major Study Abroad Planning webinar as part of our Global Learning Opportunities Week, during which we're showcasing a number of study abroad related resources and unique opportunities, including sessions on funding and scholarships, region-specific sessions, as well as sessions around student identities, among others. This webinar will be available in the on-demand section of our Global Learning Opportunities Week website at ieo.ucla.edu/glow after its conclusion, as well as our YouTube channel, UCLA Study Abroad. This will be helpful to access any of the links we share or review any content. UCLA International Education Office is the one-stop shop for undergraduate study abroad opportunities. At our office, you can consult with study abroad advisors and coordinators. We do intake advising, we do one-on-one advising, and we can also connect you with study abroad returnees. These are students who have already studied abroad, they had an amazing experience, and they'd be happy to talk to you from a peer perspective. As I shared earlier, this is our webinar series that's part of Global Learning Opportunities Week that's running from October 26th through 30th. We encourage you to check out the rest of our webinars that we're offering this week. The agenda for today, we have our welcome. I'm going to touch a little bit on COVID-19 as it relates to study abroad. We'll offer some study abroad 101 refreshers. We'll discuss non-major study abroad, followed by working on your GEs abroad. I'll also highlight a type of study abroad program that might be conducive to offering some flexibility for students like yourselves. And we'll conclude with what next steps to take. So as of today, summer 2021 programs are scheduled to run. Naturally, that can change at any time. With the current pandemic, things can change from one week to another. What we want students to know is that we are continuously monitoring the safety abroad for our students as well as our faculty. The UCLA IEO is sensitive to student timelines. We understand that students need to plan for this, and by a certain time, you'll need to know before making financial commitments. So we do keep those in mind as we make the decisions on whether a program is going to run or not. One of the other ways that we're supporting our UCLA students is we've consulted with the registrar's office, and for those interested in studying abroad during the academic year on something called UCEAP, students are able to maintain a UCLA enrollment while they're going through the pre-study abroad process. This is in case this program gets suspended before it actually even starts. Students can more easily return to the UCLA enrollments. Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to let you maintain the UCLA enrollment and study abroad at the same time. So at some point, we would have to drop your UCLA enrollment if you did decide to proceed with the UCEAP program. The Study Abroad Office is also developing virtual alternatives for select programs. Primarily, this is going to be for UCLA faculty-led programs that are called Travel Study. This year, more than others, we require flexibility and patience. Study abroad always requires flexibility and patience, but naturally this year, there's going to be things that are going to be outside of our control that may change. And we really ask for students to be flexible and be patient with us. The last point that I wanted to make as it relates to COVID-19, for those that need to renew or apply for a passport, we encourage you to do this as soon as possible, particularly if you're going to be traveling on a US passport. We do know that the US Department of State has a long backlog of passport applications. Typically, they take 6 to 8 weeks, but right now they might take a little bit longer than that. So we want to make sure that if you're considering studying abroad this coming summer 2021 or even fall 2021, that you get working on your passport as soon as possible. If you won't be traveling on a US passport, you may want to consider starting applying for or renewing your passport soon as well, because I imagine that those respective offices for your nationality might also have a backlog of passport applications. So some Study Abroad 101 refreshers. We've asked participants to first view our Study Abroad 101 webinar. We hope that's the case with most folks in this webinar. This session is intended to complement that 101 from a topic specific focus. If you missed it, no problem. Please do look over that recording on our Glow website, but here are simply just a few refreshers. What's covered in the Study Abroad 101? There, we focus on program types in very specific details, how credit transfers, the cost and funding of study abroad, the application process, and the timeline. For this specific session, we will focus on how to plan for study abroad outside of any particular major, as well as how to plan for study abroad while being undeclared. And we'll conclude with some sample programs for students just like you in these categories. But again, first, a couple of refreshers. There's different program types of study abroad. There isn't any one way to do study abroad. Some of the traditional model that's often referred to as the traditional university immersion. This is where students attend a school like University College London in the UK, and they take whichever courses they want with local professors and local students at that institution. This is where, for example, a mechanical engineering student can take 2 engineering courses towards their major and 2 courses towards their general education requirements. We also have programs like UCLA faculty led. This alternatively, students can also go on a 3 to 5 week long summer program with a UCLA professor and take about 2 classes on a more experiential learning environment that anything a lecture, than anything a UCLA lecture can offer. This is open to all majors. There's also intern and research abroad opportunities where students can get academic credit interning at a startup in Berlin or even doing field work in the jungles of Costa Rica. We also have something called a cohort model. This is referred to as our UCLA Global Cities program. This is where a group of UCLA students goes abroad to one of 3 different universities in 3 different cities, and they get to meet some of the host university students, some local students there. You take courses with them for about 4 to 5 weeks. After that concludes, you all come back to UCLA and do summer session C. So you all enroll at courses at UCLA, and this time you get to show those students from abroad, what Los Angeles and what UCLA is like. There's also something that we refer to as UC Center programs. These are programs where you take courses exclusively with your UC peers. This is, I would say, it's a much more structured program. You get to pick from between 5 to 6 classes on this type of program. And there's dozens more, but this is simply a summary of some of the more popular program types. Financial aid, one of the common questions that we receive is, can I use my UCLA financial aid for a study abroad program? The answer is yes. Eligible students can use UCLA financial aid to cover the cost of any UC affiliated study abroad programs. Financial aid could be comprised of grants if students are eligible, loans, and scholarships if students are applying to scholarships. Some grant funding is limited for summer programs, and in order to be financial aid eligible, students would typically take a minimum of 8 units. When to apply? Students typically want to apply as early as 9 months before the start of their study abroad program. Potentially, you could apply about 4 months before a particular program starts, but at that point, your options will become much more limited. Deadlines do vary from one program to another. We're often asked if applying to study abroad programs is competitive. The answer is generally no. Most of the programs that we offer, we accept students on a first come, first serve basis, provided that they meet any eligibility requirements that might be outlined. At this time, as of this recording, summer and fall 2021 programs are now open. Our faculty-led programs will open a little bit later, and our global internship programs will also open a little bit later. That'll be in the month of around early November or mid-November. For students considering winter spring 2022 programs, those will generally open the first week of winter quarter. Now, before continuing, as part of our Global Learning Opportunities Week, we are hosting a keyword scavenger hunt each day this week that allows students to enter an opportunity to win a $75 gift card. Today's keyword of the day is cenote. If you don't know what a cenote is, I encourage you to explore them. They're very, very beautiful wonders of the world. Please visit our event homepage, ieo.ucla.edu/glow to submit the keyword by end of day today and enter a chance to win today's prize. Why are we putting together this particular webinar? Our Glow webinars this month took the place of our annual Study Abroad Fair. And over the years, we started to look at what majors were attending our Study Abroad Fair. And we realized that if we combined all the undeclared types, that is engineering, life science, physical science, humanities, etc., undeclared students made up the third most popular major that was attending our Study Abroad Fair. We realized that planning for study abroad, whether that's this coming summer or even 2 years from now, will look very differently for you at this stage. You may think it's difficult to plan for study abroad not knowing your major, but there are alternative solutions. Our primary goal for this webinar is to offer you tips and strategies on how to study abroad outside of your major or how to plan for study abroad outside of any particular major. Common questions we often hear from students first exploring study abroad is, when should I study abroad? Or when do most students go? Or when is the best time to study abroad? And the answer is that there is no one best time for all students. Students can study as early as summer after their first year, or even as late as a senior year. Now, the structure of a particular major may dictate the easiest time to study abroad, but that's a totally different conversation. Regardless, we do encourage you to consult your academic advisors for any advice that they have on perhaps the easiest time to study abroad. But just we want to highlight that there is no best time. Now, I think what students often want to know, again, when do most students go study abroad? Traditionally has been junior year, but to be honest, now that summer has become a more and more popular term to study abroad, it's really, there is no one more popular time than other. Studying abroad outside of a major. If there's anything you take away from this session, it should be that students are not obligated to study abroad in their major. You can work on GEs, on your minor if you have a minor, a foreign language requirement if you have that, tech breadth, units for graduation, and even personal professional development, or of course, a combination of all of these. In either of these options, you're still making progress towards your degree. In fact, most programs are not designed around a specific major, although there are some that are. With this in mind, we hope Bruins expand their search beyond programs for their majors. This is a great strategy for both undeclared students and for students who want to study abroad outside of their major. Students can satisfy GEs on study abroad programs. Planning a study abroad program around completing GEs will allow any student who is not yet set on a major or who wants to study outside their major more flexibility in their planning. To learn more in detail about the process of taking GEs on study abroad programs, we encourage you to view our Satisfying GEs Abroad webinar that can be found in the on-demand section of our Glow event page. While you can identify GEs in most study abroad program types, the ones that require the least work to identify are the UCLA Travel Study programs and the UCLA Global Cities programs. Their respective program pages outline already which GEs you can get credit for. In addition, students often complete GEs on UCEAP programs too, but it's not automatic like the previous two. It does require petitioning, but it's quite common at UCLA. To give you a more concrete and, of course, exciting examples of the programs I just discussed, here is a sample UCLA travel study program where you take courses with UCLA professors over the summer. This one is titled In the Footsteps of Hans Christian Andersen. It takes place in Copenhagen over the summer. It's about a 4-week-long program. Highlights of this program include their student residences, often called collegiums here. They have shared facilities, they're self-catered, and there's several programmed excursions that are part of this study abroad program. One thing that I want to highlight, by the way, is a lot of our study abroad programs are going to be self-catered. Meal plans is not quite as a common thing outside of the United States, so often you will find these self-catered programs. In terms of coursework here, you're taking Scandinavian 50W, which is Intro to Scandinavian Literature and Culture, and you're taking an upper division Scandinavian crime literature course. What's great about this, if you're not a Scandinavian section major, is that you can have the Scandinavian 50W course count towards your Writing 2 requirement. It counts towards the Literary and Cultural Analysis GE. And for those of you in the College of Letters and Science, in Music or Public Affairs, you can get this to count towards a diversity requirement. So again, if this is Scandinavian Studies is not your major, you can certainly go on a program like this and still make progress towards your degree. Now I want to give you an example of the UCLA Global Cities program. That's the cohort-based one where, again, UCLA students go abroad, they meet the local students, they take courses there, and they all come back to UCLA and take courses here. With this particular option, you're studying at the University of Pompeu Fabra. This is in Barcelona. It's a summer program for about 4 weeks abroad, followed by 6 weeks back at UCLA. Highlights of this particular track include their student residence, or you can set up your independent housing. It's also self-catered. There's the social exchange program that I've highlighted, and you're taking courses during UCLA summer sessions. Coursework here, there's select Pompeu Fabra courses that you get to pick from, and there's select UCLA classes that you also get to pick from for summer sessions. In terms of what it satisfies, what's great about this is, again, if you look at the program page, it already outlines exactly what kind of GE you can satisfy with a program like this. You could also work on major and minor stuff, but again, you would also already need to know that specific major and minor and if they offer those types of courses abroad, but that would require a petition. And finally, I'll showcase a UCEAP programs that offers what I describe to as GE-like courses. Again, you would have to pitch, although you do have to petition for these to see if they can be applied towards GEs before. I recommend doing this before going abroad. This is called Made in Italy. It takes place in Florence, Italy. There's different options of when you can go abroad on this program. There's a summer option, a fall option, a winter quarter option, as well as a spring semester opportunity. Highlights of this program include their structured courses. So there will always be about 4 to 5 classes that you're going to choose from. It's with UC students only. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way that this program is structured. It's self-catered with the shared apartments option, but on this program, students have the option to do a homestay as well. So if you wanted to live with a local homestay family, you can do that. With homestays, often there is sort of, I wouldn't describe it as a meal plan, but there are meals included as part of that experience. There are also built-in excursions in the overall program, but there's also excursions that are tied to the individual courses that you take. And that UCEAP, through something like Made in Italy, they try to make this a little bit more experiential as well. I've highlighted here some of the sample courses that are offered. Do keep in mind that the courses do vary from when you study abroad. Not all of them are offered for every single term, but there's things like Renaissance arts, the definition of Italian identity through food, marketing, sustainability courses, media courses, culinary history courses. These are all what, again, I would describe as GE-like. It's not a guarantee that they're going to count for GEs, but these are the kinds of things that I would encourage students to petition for GEs. Now, if you're leaning toward a particular major that aligns with any of these courses, that might end up working out for you for major credit if you end up petitioning. But again, most of this coursework I would describe as more introductory and survey-like. Now, the UCEAP portfolio is the one that offers the traditional university immersion type of study abroad program. This is the one where you take classes at a local university with local professors and local students, although certainly you may also find other UC students who are studying abroad there with you. This type is only offered during the academic year, as most students getting their degrees abroad do not generally do summer school. I highlight this option as they generally offer students a vast range of course offerings. In many of these programs, you can take almost any course that's offered at that university. Often they have a few dozen disciplines or academic departments and even more courses. Applying to or planning to study on a traditional university immersion program allows a student who is not yet sure of what they plan to major in some flexibility. You can go into it thinking you'll take introductory courses that could be petitioned to satisfy your GEs. And as you get closer to deciding on a major, let's say biology, then you can instead decide to take some of your courses in biology, of course, if you wish. And some may still be focused on GEs. But if you instead decide to major in history, then you can focus on taking courses from that university's respective history department. You simply have to make sure that if you're deciding between two specific disciplines, that the university, of course, offers them both. If you study abroad at a university in an English speaking country like Ireland, New Zealand, or South Africa, naturally your courses will be taught in English. Then there are select programs in places like Japan, France, or Chile where the coursework is offered in the local language. But there are also programs in those same countries where the coursework is offered completely in English. So don't rule out non English speaking countries. You don't need to learn, study, or speak a non English language to study abroad. So, to paint a more descriptive picture of what these traditional university immersion models look like, I'll give you two. One of them is Yonsei University in Seoul. You can study abroad there during the fall, the spring semester, or for a complete, year-long program. Highlights of this opportunity are courses with local students. There's student residences here. It's self-catered. There's a few excursions throughout the year. And on a program like this, you actually have the option to secure your own internship. It does require a little bit more independent research and a student to set it up themselves, but you do have the sort of the legal option to be able to set something like this up as a student at Yonsei University. Coursework, they pretty much do everything. They offer humanities, social science, engineering, sciences. At Yonsei, the way that their units are structured, you're going to take about 4 to 5 courses, which is on par to taking 3 to 4 classes here at UCLA from their vast offerings. There's extensive coursework in English, although if you're fluent in Korean, you could also take some of their courses that are taught in Korean. On this program, you also have the ability to arrange research or independent study there. Now, I'm going to mirror some of the same language that I use for Yonsei University for this one. It's at Lund University in Lund, Sweden, about an hour away from Copenhagen. Even though they mirror the same structure, this is a completely different country, a different part of the world, a completely different culture. Just like Yonsei, you can also study abroad at Lund University during the fall, the spring, or for a full year. Same structure, host university, local students, student residences, self-catered, option to set up your own internship. They offer, again, vast array of humanities, social science, engineering. Here, though, students would actually take anywhere between 2 to 4 courses, depending on how many units the individual course carries. There's extensive coursework in English, but if you're fluent, you could also do it in Swedish. What's really unique about Lund University is they also have a section called Special Area Studies, where they offer introductory GE-like courses for international students. This is the sort of department there that you can look for GE-like courses and petition those with your schools or colleges. You also have the ability to arrange research or independent study on this program. Now, all other options out there are still options for you. Don't discount them just because we've highlighted particular offerings in this webinar or because we presented one way to plan for study abroad. There's no one way or wrong way to study abroad. If you are a psychology student and find a study abroad program designed all around psychology and you've consulted with your major advisor that the courses you're considering can satisfy your major requirements, then go for it. Next steps. Next steps will look differently for different students. Some of you may just be starting your term at UCLA and may not be ready to study abroad this coming summer. Others are ready to go abroad now. Regardless of what type of study abroad program you do or when you want to study abroad, consult your major and or your school advisors early on. Now, for those of you who are truly undeclared, your best resource for academic advising will be your school or college advisors. Even if you're a first year and don't plan to study abroad until senior year, begin your planning today. Sometimes holding off on not taking 1 or 2 GEs or saving a major elective early on could be the key to being able to study abroad during the academic year. although summer study abroad is really an option for anyone, regardless of your discipline, regardless of your major. Continue exploring programs at our homepage, ieo.ucla.edu. This year, we've developed a series of webinars around different topics. There's our 101 sessions, sessions on financial aid and scholarships, sessions focused around specific programs or countries, and even sessions around supporting student identities. You can find these webinars at ieo.ucla.edu/glow. While you're not required to meet with our study abroad staff, you are more than welcome to talk to us. You can do this via drop-in advising for general questions. You don't need an appointment for this. But also, our study abroad advisors are assigned by specific parts of the world or specific programs. If you've already browsed the program pages and you have more specific questions, you can schedule a one-on-one appointment with them. As I shared early in this presentation, we can also connect you with students who have already studied abroad if you're looking for a peer perspective on a specific program. We're now wrapping up. If you want to get updates from the Study Abroad office regarding program closings, application deadlines, scholarships that are coming up, we encourage you to join our email newsletter, which you can do by scanning the QR code or going to bit.ly/UCLA IEO list. Historically, we're located in Murphy Hall, although during our Safer at Home directive, the study abroad team is working remotely, but we're still quite accessible, perhaps even more so actually. You can reach us via email at info@ieo.ucla.edu, or you can connect with us via virtual advising. I've already outlined our services, but at this contact link, you can find more information on our hours and how to schedule an appointment. Follow us on social media for updates if you prefer this over the listserv. Thank you for joining us. We hope that our undeclared and non-major study abroad planning session has helped Bruins like yourself who have not yet decided on a major, as well as those who are interested in doing something completely different from their major on a study abroad program. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to connect with us. Thank you.